Howdy friends, welcome back, and today I'm going to be showing you several homemade remedies that we make here on the farm and that we use during allergy season for things like hay fever, sneezing, dust allergies, rhinitis, and pollen. From things that we drink to capsules we make, I hope you will join me till the end to see them all. Here on the farm, spring is definitely here, full of beautiful rainbows and lots of clouds, and the wild plum trees are blooming. And with all of these beautiful blooms and even things like the wild chives coming up in the greenhouse, it is time to start thinking about allergy season. And that starts very early on the farm because some of the things that we make take a lot of time. So let's head on up into the harvest kitchen and get started. First up on the list, and because this natural remedy takes the longest time, I'm going to make a tincture for one of the farm boys who has really bad hay fever allergies. And I have this premix of herbs that I'm going to put into this jar. I'm merely putting an amount of herbs into the jar, and then I'm going to top it off with some 80 proof vodka. It's very important to make sure we have the 80 proof because that will help pull out the herbal constituents, and that is the parts of the plant that we want in our tincture. And then we will give it a little shake and a little stir, and it's going to sit on the shelf for at least 2 weeks, maybe a bit longer than that, before we're ready to strain it and put it to use. The reason we like this tincture mix is because once it has sat over time and it is ready to use and strained and in the bottle, it can be something that can be carried around in a car or on the go, and it can be taken quickly. It's not like a tea where you need to have all these other things to make it in order to use it. Next up on the list is going to be straining the fire cider that we made back in October. I'm going to go ahead and put an iCard up here for this video if you want to watch how we made this raw fire cider. But it has been sitting here since October, which is a little bit long. I wouldn't recommend leaving it that long. But I'm going to go ahead and strain it here in this French press now that I got some of the liquid off the top. Now what would work really good for this is an actual tincture press, but those are somewhere around $1,500 a piece. So I make do with this French press to get most of it out. You can also use a cheesecloth and bring it by hand to get all the goodness out of there. Now typically you would get more than this out of this amount of fire cider, but because it sat so long, all of the ingredients really soaked up the vinegar and they do not want to come out right now. If you would like the recipe for how to make this raw fire cider, just search grow, create, sip on Google and type in fire cider recipe and it should come right up. I'll also drop a link down in the description below. Now, fire cider is a well-known tonic that can be taken any time of year. We like to use fire cider as part of a salad dressing mixture. We take it just raw like it is. We always have it on hand, and when we're not feeling well, we decide to up it some. This one that I'm straining here is a dry fire cider mix, which we also made in that video in October. And this just uses a dry herb mix, and we're going to go ahead and strain that. Though those powders in this French press, those can be difficult. So while it does work to some degree, I'm trying to keep the yellow off my hands and not use a cheesecloth. So we'll make this work. I'm going to take a little bit of the mixture out, the dried mix, because the powder is just clogging up the French press. And that should help us to get some of this. We'll see it's much cloudier than the other one, and that's because there's some powdered herbs in here. It's perfectly fine for it to be cloudy, and it will separate over time as those dried powdered herbs settle down to the bottom. So we used up quite a bit of our fire cider back in the beginning of the year when we were all sick, and so I'm glad to have this on hand. So dry fire cider is important in our house because it's full of lots of really spicy, great things that help to support the blood flow in the body and to warm the body up, and a whole host of other great things. So this is something you're probably going to want to take a shot of, like put a teaspoon in a shot glass, maybe with a little water. Some people like to put elderberry syrup in it to sweeten it and kind of tame the spiciness. It is spicy, so if you have heartburn, if you don't like spicy, this may not be one of the home remedies for you, but it is a favorite here down on the farm. Now that the fire cider is done, I'm going to strain these rose hips out of the vinegar. And we're going to use this rose hip vinegar again in salad dressings and anything else you would use vinegar in, mostly in cooking. Rose hips are extremely high in vitamin C, and so we're just adding things to our diet specifically in the springtime to help give our body that overall support. I'm going to use this little masher here to get some of the vinegar out of these plump rose hips. If you'd like to learn more about rose hips, I'll go ahead and put an iCard up here, and we have a whole video on how I harvested these, as well as how I made the rose hip vinegar and all of the different kinds of roses that you can grow to grow your own rose hips with. I'll also leave a link down below, or feel free to Google growcreatesip.com and look up rose hips. Now that we have our dry fire cider and we have our rosehip vinegar strained and ready to go and our tincture made, on comes number 4 for my allergy support here on the farm. One of my favorite ways to give my body overall support this spring is to drink our coffee replacement. This is a base of dandelion root and chicory root, and we have several different flavors that in general we call it not coffee. And I'm going to pour myself a cup before I head back up the stairs. I just add a little bit of maple syrup to mine, just like I would sweeten coffee, and I'm going to let that steep, and once it's done, I'm going to add some coconut cream to it as a dairy-free creamer alternative. And now that I have that ready, I'm going to show you a few of the things that I use here on the farm that I do buy. This is a capsule that has some extra vitamins and things in it, some nettle, a nose spray that is herbal and super handy. I'll go ahead and link all of these down below so you can check out the details for the purchased things. But for the moment, I'm going to put together some capsules. I'm just trying to decide if this is the right box. This is a single-aught machine, and I can't remember because I was naughty and didn't label my capsules what size my capsules are. So we're going to see if they fit in here and if I have the right machine. And they won't go in. So this is a smaller capsule machine. It holds a smaller capsule, a smaller amount of herb inside the capsule. So I'm going to get out my double-aught machine. And I'm pretty certain that since it didn't fit in the other one, that it will fit in this one. And since they do, and we're good to go, I'm going to do equal parts of dried nettle and equal parts of dried oat straw. Alternatively, instead of the oat straw, you can use alfalfa. Both are good, or even all three, you could do third parts. And I'm going to grind these up in my coffee grinder that I reserve only for herbs. It's a little dusty, but we'll get through. I'm not patient enough to wait for the dust to settle to keep going. So I'm just going to grind equal parts interchangeably here so that I can mix these up easily in the jar. And then we'll give them one final grind before I go ahead and put them in the capsule. You can see here I'm tapping the side of the container, and that is so that I can try and get it to grind evenly. This is not a professional powder grinder for herbs. It's just a standard coffee grinder any kitchen would have, and so there's a little adjustments to make, but it works really well. You just have to do a little bit at a time and then make sure it's grinding well. And eventually we will get these all powdered. So nettle is really, really high in a lot of nutrients and vitamins. If you were going to call any plant the vitamin plant, it would probably be stinging nettle. And no, it does not sting you once it's dried, so you don't have to worry about that bit. You can use it in cooking, you can make pesto with it, all sorts of things, and just bring it into the kitchen. Capsules, though, are great for making sure you get a certain amount, and they're very convenient and easy to take. And so that is why we're putting this in the capsule. And the oat straw is similar. It also has a lot of vitamins and nutrients in it. And the nettle also has a propensity to be very supportive of allergies in general. So now that I've got my powder all together, and I need to wait for that tea to cool off a little bit more, we're going to go ahead and start filling these capsules. They come in, the tops and the bottoms come in separate bags. And so I've got two separate bowls here. And first I'm going to put the large bottom piece into the capsule machine. And we're just going to place them in the hole. They can be kind of hard to see because they're clear, but you'll know that you already have it full if you can't get a piece inside of there. Going to go ahead and fill the top of the capsule machine. These are the smaller parts. And when those are both done, the top will go over the bottom and we will press it down and make our capsules. But before we do that, we need to fill it with our powder. Once the powder is inside of all of the little capsules, there's this little piece of the tool that's going to push down the powder inside so it's nice and tight. Capsules are nice and full, and then I have this little Pampered Chef. It's actually a stoneware scraper I'm going to use. This tool I think at one time had its own scraper that fit just right in here, but I have since not been able to figure out where it went. But this works just as well to just scrape off the extra there. And then we're going to put the top on and we're going to push it down evenly. And then we will just pop the capsules out on the other side. It's a pretty handy little tool. And it's great for making custom capsules with any herb in it that you wish and any combination that you can come up with. Now that I have all the capsules made and the rose hip vinegar and the fire cider, my dandelion coffee alternative, and my couple of things from the grocery store, I am set with my allergy support for the season, and it's time to sit down and enjoy my cup of tea that has finally cooled off enough to drink and look at a few other ideas from our magazine that I might want to put into action this spring. I hope that you found some of this useful, my friends, and I will catch you on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe for more growing, creating, and sipping videos. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this video here.